What's going on, guys? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Samsung Galaxy Tab S4. I was able to pick one of these up refurbished for a really good deal and I couldn't pass it up. Recently I did a review on the Galaxy Tab S5e and the Galaxy Tab A 10.1, so I figured I'd go ahead and throw this into the mix. And I can tell you right now that this is the most powerful Android tablet that I've ever gotten my hands on. But like all of these devices, there will be a better one down the road. And rumor has it that Samsung will be releasing the Galaxy Tab 6 by the end of 2019. It's definitely going to be more powerful than this, but the estimated price on that is going to be around $600 to $800 depending on your configuration. And when those release, the prices on these are going to start to drop. You'll see people selling used ones and refurbished ones on Amazon and eBay. I was actually able to pick this one up. It's a 64GB model for $350. Definitely sounds like a lot, but retail right now on Amazon for a new one of these is $647 for the 64 gig or $749 for the 256 gig. So I really couldn't pass up the deal. And ever since I did my review on the Galaxy Tab S5e, I've been wanting to get my hands on the S4 because it is a bit more powerful. It has a better CPU and a better GPU. So in this video, I'm going to go over the specs. We're going to run some benchmarks. We're going to test out some native Android gaming. We'll take a look at the S Pen. And by the end of this video, we'll even get into some emulation. So as for the specs, this is a pretty beefy tablet. We have a Snapdragon 835. This is an octa-core CPU, 4 Cryo 280 cores at 2.4 GHz, 4 Cryo 280 cores at 1.9. The GPU is an Adreno 540 with a max clock of 710 MHz. 4 GB of LPDDR4X RAM. Now the Korean version actually came with 6 gigs, but here in the US we only get 4. And in all of my tests that I've performed on this, 4 gigs is plenty. There's two storage configurations you can pick up, the 64GB model or the 256GB model, but both of them offer a micro SD card slot, good up to a 400GB card. Built-in 802.11 ABGN and AC Wi-Fi, so we can pick up that 5 GHz network. The range and speed on this thing is great. Bluetooth 5.0, and it runs Android 9.0 with Samsung One UI, and it also supports DeX on the built-in 10.1-inch screen, or over USB Type-C to HDMI so you can connect this to a big screen. It's got a 10.1-inch Super AMOLED display at 1600 by 2560, and if you haven't seen one of these in person, you're missing out. These are absolutely beautiful. Quad speakers tuned by AKG with Dolby Atmos. One of the cleanest and loudest speaker systems that I've ever heard on a tablet. A 13-megapixel rear camera capable of 4K 30 FPS, an 8-megapixel front capable of 1080p 30. This does have S Pen support, and an S Pen is included when you buy one of these. There's a built-in iris scanner, a proximity sensor, a compass, and a GPS. And the whole thing's powered by a 7300 mAh battery. I was able to get 10 hours of video playback from Netflix out of this tablet before I had to charge it. And by the way, an 18-watt quick charger is included with the tablet. So the specs look great on paper, but what about real-world performance? For an ARM-based Android tablet, this thing is an absolute beast. It's been able to handle everything that I've thrown at it. The Samsung One UI is super smooth. We have access to the full Google Play Store. I do have it set to night mode because we're in Android 9.0. Usually it would look white in the menu here, but I think it looks real good with this dark UI. So whenever I do a Samsung tablet review, the first comment I get is, does it support the S Pen? And yes, this does. Now, I'm not an artist, so I'm not going to be able to use the S Pen to its full potential, but I could definitely get used to using this S Pen for taking notes or even drawing diagrams. The pen also has a little button here. When you bring it close enough to the screen and press the button, it'll bring up your menu. This will work in pretty much any app. It just overlays over the screen. You can customize this menu also. You can add different things to it. I'm going to go ahead and open up this picture of Nicolas Cage as Superman. And luckily, this movie was never made, but I do have the magnifier added to my little wheel here, so you can go through if you want to read some text that's too small. We also have a cropping tool. So while you're in the browser, if you want to crop out an image or you want to crop out a segment of a paragraph to save, you can save it to your photos. And finally, we have the drawing tool, which is one of my favorite things. And like I said, this wheel can be totally customized. So this is Nicolas Cage, and he was going to be Superman in a movie. You might have noticed when I was drawing on the screen, you could hear kind of a pencil on paper. And believe it or not, this is a small little feature that Samsung's added with the S Pen, it helps out tremendously when you're trying to draw on a digital screen. I don't know about you, but whenever I try to sign my name for, let's say, a credit card purchase, it always comes out really bad. I noticed that just having this little sound helps out so much. Now it's time to move over to some benchmarks. I'm going to be comparing the Galaxy Tab S4's performance to the Galaxy Tab S5e and the Galaxy Tab A 10.1-inch 2019 version, because I've recently done reviews on both of those tablets. First up, we have Geekbench 4. On the Tab S4, single core 1845, multi 6516. The S5e brought in a single core score of 1627 and a multi of 5470. The Tab A 10.1 1254 and 3685. The Tab S5e was getting real close to the Tab S4, but we still beat it out in single and multi. The next benchmark we have is 3D Mark Slingshot Extreme. Now this really shows off the GPU performance in OpenGL and Vulkan, so theoretically a higher score equals better gaming performance. The OpenGL score on the Tab S4 was 3,550, and for Vulkan we scored a 3,132. On the Tab S5e for OpenGL, 1584, and Vulkan, 1536. So we pretty much doubled the GPU score on the Tab S4 from the S5e. The Tab A 10.1 is a much cheaper tablet, OpenGL, 634, Vulkan, 723. And finally, for the benchmarks, Antutu. Overall score for the Galaxy Tab S4, 200,763. There is more to this benchmark than just the overall score, but note that it beat out both of the other tablets in every single test here. Overall score for the Tab S5e, 152,357. For the Tab A 10.1, 101,480. So like I mentioned, the built-in Wi-Fi in the Tab S4 is amazing. My home network is actually rated at 450 megabits down and 30 up. And that's usually over Ethernet, but the Tab S4 crushed it on my 5 GHz router with 478 megabits down and 24.9 up. Native Android gaming on the Tab S4 is great. This is Arc Survival Evolved, or I believe they're calling it Arc 2.0 for mobile now. I've tried to run this on lower end tablets in the past and performance was horrible, but as you can see here, it's perfectly playable. As for PubG Mobile, the Tab S4 handles it with no trouble at all. I'm even set to 60 FPS. I'm not a big fan of touchscreen controls, but luckily you can connect pretty much any Bluetooth controller to this. I'm using the Xbox One S controller, and this is the mobile version of Fortnite. Set to high settings, 30 FPS. Unfortunately, the Tab S4 just doesn't have the option for 60. Getting into some emulation, this is Dreamcast, and I'm using the Redream emulator from the Google Play Store. This is Shenmue, the opening cutscene, but it runs in-engine, and I really didn't want to spend 20 minutes getting into gameplay. It's going to handle this game just fine. Here's Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and I'd say that as long as the game is compatible with the Redream emulator, you shouldn't have any trouble running it on the Tab S4. I was really surprised with the Sega Saturn performance on this tablet. This is Yaba Sanshiro, and unfortunately there are some graphical glitches in games when using this emulator. I did try the Beetle Core in RetroArch, but we just don't have enough power to push that one. And finally, GameCube emulation with the Dolphin emulator. Now, some of these games are going to be hit or miss. This is Soul Calibur 2, and it's running okay, but I do notice some sound issues going on. Some games are just going to work better than others, but overall, really impressed with the GameCube emulation on this tablet. And in my opinion, it really comes down to the optimization of Dolphin. I believe that the Snapdragon 835 has more than enough power to run these games at full speed. We just need more development on the Android end with Dolphin. So overall, the Galaxy Tab S4 is a solid Android tablet, and it's actually the most powerful Android tablet that I've ever had on this channel. I've had a blast using this thing. The screen is beautiful, the sound is great, and performance is awesome. But for me personally, I would never pay full price for this. Like I mentioned, they're going for $650 new. If you can pick one up for around $300 to $350, refurbished or used, I think it's worth it. And if you hold out till the Galaxy Tab S6 is released, these will drop in price, people selling them used and refurbished on eBay and Amazon, so definitely keep an eye out. There's one thing that I didn't show off in this video, and that's Samsung DeX. I will have a dedicated video coming up very shortly, but basically what it does is transform your tablet into an Android PC. It's more mouse and keyboard user friendly, and I personally really like using it. We could also run Linux on DeX, and I want to show that off in that video, so definitely keep an eye on the channel if you're interested. And if you have any questions or you want to see anything else running on the Galaxy Tab S4, just let me know in the comments below. It'd be really cool if you could hit that like button or maybe subscribe to the channel, but like always, thanks for watching.